Performance appraiser, like every other system within the corporate system, have undergone a lot of innovations over the years. And today, we can now differentiate between traditional performance appraiser, which is what is obtainable a few years back, and what we can now comfortably, out of convenience, call modern performance appraiser. What we want to do in this video is to look at the difference between these two: traditional performance appraiser and modern performance appraiser. It will not shock you to know that there are still a few organizations that still uses traditional performance appraiser. What does that mean? It means that they conduct their appraisals only once in a year. The appraiser is manager-driven, is top-down communication. It is focused on past mistakes, and it has limited employee participation. This means that if you are running a performance appraiser system in which it is only done once in the year, and it is a system where those at the top, the managers and the assistant managers and the supervisors, rather using HR report to put together what they can call a performance appraisal report without any participation of the employee, then you are running a traditional performance appraiser system. Because modern performance appraiser system takes an entirely an opposite direction. So modern performance appraiser, for instance, is focused on employee participation. And in the series of further videos, we are going to talk about how employees participate in the process. So there is participation of every employee within the establishment. Secondly, it is focused on fixing weaknesses rather than throwing blames. So we don't identify mistakes, we identify weaknesses, and then we try to find solution, which is why it is important to engage the employees, because it is the employees that experience the weaknesses or makes the mistakes. So in order to get the mistake corrected, it is important to engage them. If you don't engage them, you will not be able to get the issue corrected. Sometimes what you think is the solution as the management is actually not the solution. I've been there several times. So you think a staff is making mistake and you think you know the solution to the problem, and then you provide the solution, and then you are told this is not actually the solution. This is not actually the problem. So that is why modern performance appraisers finds a way to engage the employees who are the front line of discharging the performance or of discharging the duties. Then frequency. Frequency also is another characteristic of modern performance appraiser. Performance appraiser is no longer something that is done towards the end of every year. It is now something that needs to be done every week, and something that needs to be done every month, or something that needs to be done per project. So if you constitute a team to carry out a project, once the project is completed, it is expected that all those who participate in that project are appraised. So they are able to identify their mistakes on the spot on and correct it, not waiting until the end of the year to appraise them. So modern performance appraiser requires you to carry out appraisals on weekly basis, on monthly basis, and then on project basis, not waiting for end of the year. Then future focus. Modern performance appraisers are also focused on what should be achieved in the future, where we should go next, how to move to the next level of performance and the next level of efficiency, right? That is what modern performance appraisers are concerned about. Modern performance appraisers are no focused on identifying employees to fire. They are no focused on employees to deduct salary from. They are focused on the future. How do we move to the next level of efficiency by upgrading our performance as a people, as a team? Then continuous feedback. You cannot run a modern performance appraisal system without continuous feedback. This feedback can be done weekly, can be done monthly, can be done per project. But it has to be consistent and it has to be focused on the goals of performance appraiser itself. It is not a box-ticking exercise. It is not a means of criticizing people. It is a means of helping people identify their strengths and their weaknesses and assisting them, providing them the system, providing them the inspiration, providing them the support to become better at what they do. So, why should you adopt the modern system of performance appraiser? You should adopt the modern system of performance appraiser because it drives engagement. There is engagement between the management and the staff. So everybody gets to air their opinion as to how they think the organization can move forward. If you have done this before, you know you cannot afford a situation where your employees do not have a part to play in your performance appraiser. Because in the process of engaging them, there are a lot of informations, there are a lot of things you think you know that you realize that you didn't even have half of the information. Modern performance appraiser solves the problem faster because, like we said, you are not waiting for an entire year before you carry out the appraiser. You are carrying out the appraiser on every project, on weekly basis, on monthly basis. So you are not waiting for too long. You are not waiting for an entire year to carry out the appraiser. And it's not just about carrying out the appraiser, but also as you are carrying out the appraiser, you're also finding out the solutions to the various lapses and various weaknesses that exist. And so you discover that performance problems are getting solved faster. Then modern performance appraiser guarantees better communication. And we are going to look at even performance interview and all that and how to conduct performance interview. All of the strategies and things that have been put in place under modern performance appraiser system are things that guarantees effective and efficient communication in such a way that nobody sees performance appraiser as a threat. Then greater employee ownership. In fact, in one of the series, we are going to be talking about the two layers of performance appraiser. The first layer being employees appraising themselves. So instead of the HR or the management appraising the employee first of all appraise themselves, and then the management appraise the employee. Then you compare and contrast, right? So there is ownership of the appraisal process by every employee, and employees become more efficient and become more committed to the process when they own the process. Everybody are more committed to the process that they own. If performance appraisal is just something that HR does, it's just something that the manager and the supervisors does, the employee feel less concerned. It doesn't really matter to them. They feel, okay, it's something supervisor is doing, so let's allow him do his thing. But once you bring it down to them and you let them participate in the process, you are throwing back the process to them. You are letting them own the process, and they only not become committed to the process of performance appraisal, but they also become concerned about their efficiency and about how well they perform on the long run. So we are shifting performance appraiser from evaluating employees to developing employees, because at the end of the day, it is the development that takes place after every performance appraiser that we are actually looking for, not necessarily the criticisms and the guilty verdicts. Finally, The future of every organization depends on performance appraisal, because it is performance appraisal that will determine how to improve your team, when to improve your team, and the progress that your team is making. Thank you very much for watching this video. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.